Kia ora, I'm Liz van der Laarse. I'm the author of Cuz, a survival adventure story written for 10 to 14-year-olds. I'd like to read you the opening chapter. Over and over, his legs, his arms, his head out of control. River thrust through the water, kicking out with his legs, gasping for air. The next wave crashed, taking him under, tangling his arms with bull kelp and smashing him into the sand. He scrambled up, pulling through the foam as the rip sucked at his legs, dragging him back towards the cold, grey sea. River struggled up the beach, his feet sinking into the soggy sand, his breathing shallow and ragged. He threw himself face down beyond the high tide mark and lay without moving. Salt water trickled down his back from his dreads. He squinted at the sea. It looked as it had when he first went in. A light swell rolling in from the Tasman, enough to make you want to try for a last body surf before winter. That set of dumpers had come out of nowhere. River looked around for his hoodie and t-shirt. He turned towards home. His feet picked their way across the stones at the back of the beach, along the grass track through the gorse and lupins. He reached the main road and stopped. The sun glinted off a red Holden parked in his driveway. He frowned. Eh? Whose is that? River crossed the road and walked up the path. The front door stood open. The voices came from the kitchen. His mother, Denise, and a man's voice, his father. He felt a quick stab of pain as he stepped inside, felt his legs shake. The man turned. River stared at the man who looked so like his father, his Uncle Toe. Toe's face broke into a huge grin. Whoa, River, look at you. Not a drowned rat, but a drowned rasta. He came over and pressed his nose to River's. Good to see you, Tama. Really good to see you. He looked hard at River's face. How you been? Yep, good, River mumbled. He looked at the girl sitting at the kitchen table, her springy black curls and her smiling eyes. Kia ora, cuz. How's it? She grinned. He flicked his eyebrows. The last time he saw Huia was at their corals unveiling. She was annoying. 8 years old, poncing round, knowing everything tikanga Māori, making him feel dumber than he already felt. And now, here they were, both 14. Denise spoke. Toa and Huia are on their way back from Westport. They're going to stay the night. Yeah, said Toe. I've been up to check out a new engine for my fishing trawler. Like what I saw too. Bloke says if I take the boat up there, he'll drop the engine in for me. Take my old one as a trade-in. River nodded. He sat down at the table next to Huia. They didn't look like cousins. He was as blonde as she was dark, but they both shared the same serious brown eyes. The talk was of how Nan had come in from the farm to live with Toe and his wife, of Denise's boutique at Punakaiki, River and Huia's first year at college. No one spoke of River's dad. Hey River, take Huia down the beach, eh? Denise said. Get some driftwood for a fire. River looked at Huia. Yeah, sure, she smiled. Looking north or looking south, the beach faded into a haze. Far, said Huia, this beach. No ends and no people. Has it even got a name? Yeah, it's Fox River, or near enough. River frowned. And what about Riverton? It's not exactly centre of the universe. It's my Turanga Waiwai River. Yours too, come to think of it. And anyway, there's Nan. River glanced at her. What about Nan? She needs me around, wants to pass on the stuff that her tupuna taught her, the real Maori ways. She's taught me heaps. River looked at her without speaking, and then looked away. Yeah, rub it in. I know everything. You know nothing. Who was there to teach him? Did she think of that? Although the wind had bite, the sun danced on the sand. The grains were coarse under their feet and between their toes. Logs and branches that had washed down the Fox River lay bleaching on the grey sands. They gathered smaller pieces in their arms and dragged branches along the beach, throwing the driftwood onto a stack. "Anyone else live round here? You got any mates?" Hui asked. "Course. So what do you fellows do?" "I don't know. Hang at the beach, fishing, surfing. I go hunting with this mate of mine sometimes. Do the garden for Mum. Bit of a hippie, your Mum, eh?" "Yep." The fire was brilliant. Orange flames leapt upward against a clear black sky filled with stars. The warmth reached into their faces and legs. Toe and Hui sat on the sand with their backs against a large log, Toe's guitar resting on his legs while he strummed and sang softly. Hui joined in. The waiata seemed to fit with the evening, the four of them alone on the beach, with nothing but the stars and the fire and the crash of the breakers. River heard his mother's voice and turned, surprised that she too knew the words. It was only he who didn't. He watched the flames send the words and notes, spiralling until they too became part of the night sky. Toe put down the guitar. "Going for a fish. See what Tangaroa's got for us. You coming, River?" They baited up and waded into the icy shallows to cast their lines, retreating from the water to stand on the sand and wait. River's feet were numb, and his rolled-up jeans clung wetly to his legs. The wind from the south froze his back, and his hands were rigid on the rod, but there was a calmness in him as he stood with his uncle, just the two of them at the edge of the sea. "What a beaut day for the drive home," said Toe the next morning. He leant across the top of the Holden, tapping a cigarette on the roof. He looked at River and Denise. "You know that new engine I was telling you about?" Denise nodded, pushing her blonde fringe from her eyes. "Soon I'm going to have to take a run up the coast in the trawler to get it fitted. How about I take River and Hui? They can crew for me. What do you reckon?" Toe turned to River, raising his eyebrows. River looked up surprised. Yeah. "Does he even know I've never been on a fishing boat? Crew for him?" He stared down at his boot, scuffing the shingle. River shot a look at Hui. Her eyes smiled back. "Bet she's laughing at me." There are excellent teacher's notes on the publisher's website, One Tree House, which are free to download, and also on my Facebook page, Liz van der Laarse author, you'll find photos of the forest in Fiordland and native plants that you're free to use.